Welcome to session 7, and I wanted to start off with looking at the conclusion to the book where he asks a series of questions. Michael Reeves asks a series of questions at the beginning of um, what is your Christian life like? What is the human problem? What do you need saved from? What is the good news that you've encountered in God? What defines the orientation of your faith? All of these questions depend on this very thing, and that is, what do you think God is like? How you picture and image and understand God is how you're going to interact with all those questions, or how you're going to relate God with those questions. So how we understand who God is matters, and the kind of God that you understand that he is impacts how we understand what following Jesus looks like, what the human problem is, what it is we need saved from, and how we encounter good news in God, and how we orient our faith toward him. So how we think of God and who we understand him to be affect how we answer those previous questions. Michael Reeves has invited us throughout this journey to start with the person of Jesus, and to notice that he, that is Jesus, reveals God as a father, Jesus being a son. He's revealed to us as a son, and being a son, it shows us that there is also a heavenly father. Jesus not only reveals that he's a father, but that he is a loving father. And we see this love relationship between the father and the son to the father, where the son lovingly obeys the father, and the father lovingly lavishes his love on the son over and over in abundance. Jesus also shows us that the clearest image of humanity in a life-giving relationship with God that looks like his life. It looks like the life of Jesus. And what this reveals is that we aren't that way. That it reveals that we have divorced ourselves from life and fellowship with God. So when you look at the life of Jesus, it looks very different than our life. Jesus has this united relationship with God the Father and the Spirit. And then you look at our lives, and it's like we don't have that unity, or we didn't start out that way, especially. And this separation from God has distorted our perception of a variety of things. It's distorted our perception of God. It's distorted our perception of ourselves, our perception of each other, and our perception of the world that God created. And when Jesus comes onto the scene, he exposes the inward-facing reality of our hearts. He exposes the fact that our hearts aren't focused on God, and our hearts aren't focused on receiving life from God's life-giving love. Jesus reveals that God's love never stops flowing and is always pursuing us. Even though we've turned away from him, God's love is always pursuing us. And by the power and companionship and guidance of his Spirit, we are adopted back as God's children, back into this united relationship with God. But this good news of who God is and what he has done for us is only recognizable through the triune God, who is the essence of perfect love and fellowship. My hope is that this learning experience has given you a better perspective of who God is, that the God described in this experience has become desirable, that you just have to have this God in your life, that you can't imagine life without him in your life. I hope that God has revealed himself to be good news that is worth sharing and making known to the world, that he is your loving Father and you his beloved child.